So we asked these fabulous women that which is the safest city for women in India. Our second question was that which are the top three safest cities for women in India. And third question was the most important question, that what can be done to ensure that basically women are safe across the length and breadth of India. So let's listen to these women of substance. Let's listen to these extraordinary women. Let's listen to these ordinary women. Let's listen to these women of substance. Let's listen to these influencers. Let's listen to these women who achieved a lot in their field and what they had to say. And once we listen to all of them, we'll talk to you about the Twitter poll which we did, and then you can tell us that whether you agree with them or disagree with them, or whether you have anything to add, and exactly which three or four do you think are the safest cities for women in India.
Hi, Khaled and Amna. I would like to answer the three questions you asked me. For the first, which city do I think is the safest? I have spent most parts of my adult life in Mumbai, and hands down, I don't think there is any other city safer than that. Despite I know you have a lot of responses of people saying it's probably some cities in Gujarat, but I have felt so safe in Bombay. Like, I am now in Delhi since 2020, and it's been a sea of change as to how I have to figure out logistics if I'm out late, uh, and if I'm going to a Gurgaon or a Noida, it's even more problematic, and I really need to figure that out. Uh, so yes, it would be Mumbai. I think there are anyone who's lived in Mumbai would know. Like, I have taken cabs at 1, 2, 3, 4, you name it, at whatever time in the morning. I have come home late. I've done all of that, and I have never felt insecure sitting in either a Kali Pili or an Uber. It just the city provides you so much security. Having said that, there have been a few occasions when I've traveled in local train and have found people maybe commenting on my clothes or something. So yeah, I still think I needed to be careful there. For your second question, the top three cities, I have not lived in that many cities, and I have not honestly traveled alone in that many cities, but Mumbai for sure. The second city, surprisingly, I found not city, but as a state, I found Goa to be extremely safe. Again, been out late at night, just been out with women, and haven't felt insecure. For my third, I would like to say Pune, although like I said, I haven't spent much time in any of these other cities. But yeah, I would say Pune. And for your third question, what could be done to make cities safer? I'm not sure. I think it's on people. It's a very cultural thing. I don't think it's the police can do as much, the government can do as much. It's at the end of the day, it's the people and the education that I think makes a difference. The more people are exposed to the fact that women are allowed to have as much freedom as men. Allowed is such a great word to be used here, yeah, but I don't know what else to use. Okay, so those are my three answers. Thank you.
Hi. Uh, as a woman, I think the safest city I've ever lived in is undoubtedly Ahmedabad. I may come across as a biased person, but I have born and brought up in Ahmedabad and have most part of my life in this city. And I have come home a lot of times post midnight alone, driven alone, and I felt very safe. It could be because of the familiarity of the place. I know the roads, I know the lanes, by lanes, and probably the only fear I have faced or is of stray dogs mostly. But I think, like any other city, obviously it's not that Ahmedabad also, for that matter, but it will have its own share of crimes. So obviously you should ideally be avoiding certain areas past midnight, like any other city. Uh, then I would say if I were to rate the talk about top three safe cities for women, first would obviously be Ahmedabad. I would then talk about Surat. It is fantastic. The place is otherwise lovely as well. There is great food also, so that's a plus. The other place that I've lived in has been, I would say, Bangalore to a certain extent, but I've not lived there long enough and haven't been there in a long, long time. But I would say that Delhi NCR is not really that safe also, but it's also maybe. There are you could find ways around. You could take your own precautionary measures, maybe avoid going out late night, the perils of being a woman. But yeah, and I think one of the best tips I got was, if ever I get stuck anywhere in Delhi or if I am lost, the best thing would be to go to the nearest metro station, and there would be security personnel, the CISF, if I'm not wrong, or CRPF. I am not very sure, but them and Delhi police as well. They do tend to be very, very helpful. So that is one tip. And I think one thing that everyone collectively could make the cities a safer place for women is just stop being creepy. I think more than anything else, what the law enforcement can do or cannot do, the government can do only certain things, but at the end of it, it's the people who make the city. The morality, the niceness has to come from within, and I guess if people start being little nicer and non-creepy and non-criminal inclined, maybe the world will get a little better and peaceful and safer for women.
Khalid asked me to make a video on the city I find the safest in India. Of the cities I've lived in, I would rank Mumbai easily the safest. I lived in Mumbai for 2 years in 2013 and 2014, and I don't remember even one instance of lewd remarks or groping in trains ever. It was so unusual, coming from Delhi. I remember there was an office party after a week I joined, and I was so stressed, how will I go home? And I wanted to leave the venue at 9 p.m. itself. So my editor told me, you're not in Delhi anymore. You can easily take the local train back home, even if the party gets over at 3 in the night. So that was really unusual for me. I think Mumbai is safe because, of course, one, the social attitudes. And second, the streets are always so well lit, and there are people, at every hour. Like even at midnight, you will see street stalls preparing food. I mean, you never see that in Delhi. And in Delhi, there are these long patches of extreme dark where there are no street lights, there are no people. I think that makes Mumbai very safe. However, I have heard from a lot of people that many cities in Gujarat are even better than Mumbai. I have heard that Surat and Ahmedabad, they rank these cities the best. Though I have not had the privilege of living in these cities, though I have visited them, but for a few hours.
Hi, I'm Khalid. Safest city for me would be Bangalore. 3 safe cities in India would be Bangalore, Mumbai, and Pune. Totally based on my experience with the cities. What is that one thing that can be done to make a place safe? I mean, seriously, can't think of one thing. I can think of so many. However, I look at your question in multiple ways. One would be the low-hanging fruits, the more operational things, the more actionable things that can be done to make a place safe. And people have been talking about it for such a long time. More CCTV around the place, more lighting on the streets, no dark stretches, safe spaces for women, safety in public transport, quicker justice. For goodness sake, there should be consequences for an offender. He can't go scot-free. I remember in Bangalore a couple of years back, they did something that can be used as a workable model across cities. I mean, it's just a simple lift and shift which can be duplicated across Indian cities. There is enough and more data with the police to mark out certain zones as unsafe based on the high crime rate, the more sexual crimes, the more FIRs, high rate of complaints, and they actually marked such places as unsafe, and then you literally work on these unsafe places and make them safe. So they, along with some NGO, conducted workshops and activities, raised awareness around the sexual crimes against women. So that's something simple and actionable that can be done. However, for me, the answer to this is changing the mindset of people, and that is a very slow and a gradual process. Behaviors and attitudes take shape very early on. So it becomes even more imperative to include gender sensitization as a part of our curriculum. I mean, to raise awareness. I mean, raising awareness should be given as much weightage as learning ABCs. And we cannot look at raising awareness or these campaigns around it, workshops or counseling sessions as a one-time effort or a one-time initiative to get a tick in the box. It needs more than that. It needs a more concentrated effort. It needs to be more consistent.
Well, Khalid and Amina, for me, the most safest cities in India, I would say, hearing about friends, family, and other acquaintances, it would be Pune, Mumbai, and Ahmedabad. Though about Ahmedabad and Mumbai, I have heard about, but I haven't experienced much. People have good things to say about its safety. But personally, for me, Pune, I can talk about more because it's been almost more than a decade I'm staying here, and never, even once, I have felt unsafe, or that anxiety that women have when they are late from a party, or even meeting a friend, or whatever. So yes, and traveling from all modes possible, Ola, Uber, and sometimes even rickshaw, it hasn't ever felt unsafe. And what can be done across the cities for the safety of women is, I think, more CCTV cameras can be installed, and especially, we often ignore the isolated part. So isolated areas also should have the CCTV cameras, and well lit streets. That's most important, because yes, evenings, it's very much required. And also women police, more and more of women police at crowded places, and buses, especially when women, because I think in buses they suffer the most. So more women police can be there, so that more as in just one also will help them feel safe in the city.
Bombay would be my number one city for sure, because Bombay gives you a certain ease of mobility in public spaces, a certain comfort which no other city offers. But I have an odd second choice, which is Banaras. Banaras has a whole different vibe. Banaras gives you a certain respect, which is not so gender centered. So you are not really seen in a sexualized way. You see, in Banaras, there's a lot of respect from an average person on the road. The entire city operates in a whole different way, and that is something I have not seen anywhere else in India. So I find living in Delhi a pretty safe option too, and I couldn't have said that, say, 20 years ago. But over time, one thing that I've really realized in life is that your safety is entirely dependent on how you feel safe or unsafe inside, because whatever it is that your energy is, you knowingly, unknowingly spread it around, and people tend to pick on it. So say when I was 22, 23 years old, I would often have cars stopping on the road. Delhi was also a pretty rough city at that time, and it was a very regular thing that you pick your phone up and you pretend to read out the car number to to somebody and then the car goes. Similarly, driving at night, I stopped driving because you'd have guys on motorbikes chasing you at night, and then you had to call the cops all the time. But one great thing about Delhi, and all of Delhi's safety is actually hinged upon this, that Delhi police is probably the most effective police when it comes to women's safety. The moment you make a distress call and you're a woman, they follow it up till the time you're home the next day. I have never seen this sort of efficiency anywhere. And over the years, 2 decades of my life pretty much in Delhi, I have actually shed the subconscious fears that I had of being out in public spaces at night, for example, or generally just that threat perception around a city that has completely disappeared. And a lot of it has to do with Delhi police. Top 3 safe cities for women in India would be Bombay, Bangalore and Banaras. This happens when law enforcement is strong, when policing is pro-women, like in the case of Delhi. Slowly and steadily you see a decline in a certain type of behavior which is anti-women and predatorial, and as a result, through the years, women become slowly bolder, and they also reclaim the spaces as their own, and somewhere a certain neutrality begins to emerge, which cannot happen overnight, because a lot of places in India are extremely patriarchal and they are very dominated by men. You just can't go and break those patterns. You cannot change people's mindset overnight. But I think the first step is good policing, because that gives people a certain confidence to be able to venture out.
हेलो एवरीवन, मैं डॉक्टर नौशीन आरा, मैं जयपुर से हूँ। अगर बात की जाए इंडिया में सेफेस्ट सिटीज़ की, तो सबसे सेफेस्ट सिटी इन इंडिया इज़ मुंबई। मैं 2 महीने पहले मुंबई जा चुकी हूँ। मुंबई इसलिए सेफ़ है औरतों के लिए क्योंकि वहाँ आपको कुछ सोचना नहीं पड़ता है। आप आधी रात को भी बाहर जा सकते हैं। मैंने वहाँ देखा कि अगर मैं जयपुर से कंपेयर करूँ तो वहाँ बेझिझक आप किसी भी समय बाहर अकेले भी जा सकते हैं। आप जो मर्ज़ी आए वैसे कपड़े पहन के बाहर जा सकते हैं। आपको ये सोचने की ज़रूरत नहीं है कि कोई आपके बारे में क्या सोचेगा, या आप पे कोई बुरे कमेंट्स करेगा, या आपको कोई मॉलेस्ट करने की कोशिश करेगा। ये सब वहाँ पे नहीं होता है। और लोग भी बहुत हेल्पफुल हैं। अगर किसी भी तरह की कोई समस्या औरतों को आती है तो वहाँ पे लोग हेल्प करने के लिए तैयार रहते हैं। अगर दूसरी सिटी देखी जाए तो मे बी नॉर्थ ईस्ट, मेरी कुछ फ्रेंड्स वहाँ से हैं। मैं वहाँ हालांकि गई नहीं हूँ, लेकिन मेरे फ्रेंड्स बताते हैं कि वहाँ पे भी औरतों के साथ में बहुत ज़्यादा मॉलेस्टेशन, सेक्सुअल मॉलेस्टेशन नहीं होता है। एंड द थर्ड वन सिटी इज़ अहमदाबाद। मैं अहमदाबाद जा चुकी हूँ। वहाँ पे भी औरतें बेझिझक बाहर जा सकती हैं, आधी रात में जा सकती हैं। और अगर अनसेफ सिटीज़ की बात की जाए तो वो NCR है, और राजस्थान के कुछ प्लेसेस भी, कुछ सिटीज़ भी सेफ़ हैं। हालांकि यहाँ तक कि जयपुर भी बहुत ज़्यादा सेफ़ नहीं है। और अगर ये देखा जाए कि अगर हम चाहते हैं कि इंडिया में बहुत सारी सिटीज़ ऐसी हों जो औरतों के लिए, और इंडिया एक सेफ़ प्लेस बन सके, तो कुछ चेंजेस और कुछ बदलाव लाने की ज़रूरत है। और उसमें सबसे बड़ा बदलाव लाने की ज़रूरत है जेंडर सेंसिटिविटी, और ये बचपन से ही शुरू हो जाना चाहिए। लड़कों को, छोटे बच्चों को ये पता होना चाहिए कि लड़कियों के साथ में कैसे बिहेव करना है, किस तरह से उनके साथ में पेश आना चाहिए, और हमें ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा को एजुकेशन पे फोकस करना चाहिए। क्योंकि अगर लड़कियां सिर्फ फ़ीमेल स्कूल में और लड़के सिर्फ मेल स्कूल में पढ़ते रहेंगे तो उनकी आपस में इंटरेक्शन भी नहीं होगा। एक्सपोजर से ही सब कुछ समझ में आने लगता है। थर्ड वन, एंड सेकंड वन इज़ अगर किसी भी तरह के मॉलेस्टेशन की, सेक्सुअल मॉलेस्टेशन की सज़ा कठोर होगी और जल्दी सज़ा मिलेगी तो उससे भी ये मैसेज जाएगा कि ये सब नहीं करना चाहिए, और फीमेल्स के लिए वो प्लेस सेफ़ बन सकेगा। थैंक यू।
Hi guys. So to answer the first question as to which is the safest city in India for me personally, I would say Guwahati, where I have been from the past 23 years. So I have also traveled a lot, but I would still say that Guwahati is safe for me, according to my personal experience, because I have traveled in, I have taken public transport, traveled at night, drove around with my friends, and I have never faced any difficulties. But when I'm in Delhi, if I'm heading out, past 9 p.m. or anything, I have to share my location, share my Uber, Ola, cab details, or like I take my elder brother along or my friends or partner. And to answer the second question, three safest cities in India for women, I would definitely say Pune first. Second should be Bangalore. Third can be Bombay. Speaking from personal experiences. And with regards to the third question, which is like the one thing that should change to make place more safe for women, I would say Indian cities will never be safe, as patriarchy is battled only in upper echelon, upper creamy layers of the society, and the real ghetto loving folks are never criticized, and they carry patriarchal attitudes, both men and women. And thanks to the socialist mindset coupled with neo Marxist ideas, the gentrification of also of Indian cities will also be not possible, and only way to use to find only one way to tackle such thing is using emerging technologies such as 5G, and use surveillance or application which with immediate response. So in short, without constant surveillance and change in attitudes of regressive sections of the society, nothing will happen or nothing will change. So this sarak chap chapari kind of people will remain the same, and that actually gets glorified in movies like Gully Boys, etc. So I hope things change, and every city of our country is as safe as all the cities that we mentioned. So yeah,
I'm sure every woman would name Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi on the list, but I want to keep my answer a little underrated because this place really deserves the acknowledgement. That is Guwahati. And Guwahati is a very, very safe for women to travel. रात को travel करना है, solo travel करना है. It's a place where women can be very fearless and they can just go out and just be themselves. Guwahati के ही बराबर one state which has a very stereotypical image, I would say, for being unsafe for women is Uttar Pradesh. But after extensively traveling in local transports across more than 500 villages, even at midnight, the only thing I figured out is that there was not even one moment where I felt even slightest of discomfort. And no, I was not taking any high-end transportations. So I have, I would say, a good database to support that claim. So I say Uttar Pradesh because Uttar Pradesh deserves. Uttar Pradesh has come a long, long way, and people should really be talking about it. People should not be having a very stereotypical image of it, which of course is true to some extent, but not in today's scenario. Top 3 cities that I would like to name. The first city is going to be, of course, Guwahati, as I said. Second city is going to be Bangalore, and third city is going to be Delhi. And what could be changed? So I'm not going to say that people should change. Of course, people should change, but that's a very gradual and generational progress. I'm sure we are going to get there. But instantaneously, if we are able to light up the dark spots, I think we will be able to prevent a lot of crime against women, because these crimes generally happen in spots which are not very well, which are poorly lit or not at all lit. So if we can address that, if we can light up dark spots, I think we'll be in a very good space. Good thing I recently heard that Delhi government is on it, and they are lighting some 500 dark spots. Most of the cities need to do this. and that would be the best way to prevent any kind of crime against women.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम। मुझे और आपको ये जानकर बहुत खुशी होगी कि इंडिया का मुंबई शहर लेडीज़ के लिए पूरे इंडिया में सबसे सेफेस्ट सिटी मानी गई है। यस, माई सिटी मुंबई, जहाँ पे मैं बड़ी हुई हूँ। आई लव माई सिटी, आई लव मुंबई। एंड महाराष्ट्र के सारे लोगों को बहुत खुशी होगी ये जान के कि हमारी आमची मुंबई इंडिया में लेडीज़ के लिए सबसे सेफेस्ट सिटी मानी गई है अकॉर्डिंग टू सर्वे। लेकिन मुझे लगता है कि देर आर अदर सिटीज़ ऑल्सो विच आर वेरी सेफ। हालांकि मैं ज़्यादा श्रीनगर और मुंबई में ही रही हूँ, लेकिन मैंने सुना है कि बेंगलोर और अहमदाबाद भी लेडीज़ के लिए बहुत सेफ़ सिटीज़ मानी गई हैं। वहाँ की रहने वाली लेडीज़ ने ये बयान किया है कि वो बहुत सेफ़ फील करती हैं और ये बहुत ही अच्छी बात है। लेकिन अगर आप मुझे पूछो कि सबसे अनसेफ सिटीज़ कौन सी है, तो शायद मुझे कहना पड़ेगा शायद दिल्ली, क्योंकि वहाँ के बारे में हमने क्या क्या नहीं सुना है। लेकिन ऑफ कोर्स जब से योगी आदित्यनाथ जी आए हैं, एटलीस्ट यूपी का जो साइड है एनसीआर का, वहाँ पे काफ़ी लॉ एंड ऑर्डर स्ट्रॉन्ग हो गया है। वहाँ पे हमें इस तरह की स्टोरीज़ अब नहीं सुनने को मिलती, जो वो खौफनाक स्टोरीज़ जो हादसे जो लेडीज़ के साथ उस तरफ होती थी वो शायद कम हो गए उनके जब से वो आए हैं। लॉ एंड ऑर्डर स्ट्रॉन्ग हो गया वहाँ पे, तो यही चीज़ कंटिन्यू रखनी है। और रहा सवाल कि जो बाकी सिटीज़ जो सेफ़ नहीं मानी जाती लेडीज़ के लिए, वहाँ क्या करना चाहिए ताकि लेडीज़ वहाँ सेफ़ रहें। वेल, मैं यही कहूँगी कि एक तो होता है जो रहने वाले लोग होते हैं ना किसी भी शहर के, उनका अगर एटीट्यूड लेडीज़ की तरफ जजमेंटल ना हो तो बहुत फ़र्क पड़ता है। क्योंकि लेडीज़ की तरफ एक जजमेंटल एटीट्यूड, मतलब कि कोई लेडी अगर मैं आपको कश्मीर की बात कर दूँ, कोई लेडी अगर स्पोर्ट्स अटायर में कहीं चल रही है तो जजमेंटल ओपिनियंस निकलने लगते हैं। एक तरह की ईव टीजिंग होती है, उसके साथ उसको बोला जाता है कि ये जो काम कर रही है ये हराम का काम है, स्पोर्ट्स औरतों का काम नहीं है, उन्हें स्पोर्ट्स नहीं करना चाहिए, ये वो इस तरह की चीज़ें। फिर जजमेंटल उन लेडीज़ के लिए भी हुआ जाता है यहाँ पे जो फॉर एग्जांपल अपनी मर्ज़ी से शादी करना चाहती हैं या अपनी मर्ज़ी से शादी तोड़ना चाहती हैं किसी के साथ, या बात जिसके साथ हुई है शादी की वो उस बात को आगे नहीं ले जाना चाहती, उसकी पर्सनल कोई रीजंस होंगी उस चीज़ के लिए। एज अ सिटीजन ऑफ इंडिया उसको पूरा हक है कि वो अपने फ्यूचर का डिसीजन ले। लेकिन इसकी वजह से जब सोसाइटी जजमेंटल हो जाती है, उसको जज करती है और फिर हेट क्राइम्स बढ़ जाते हैं जैसे एसिड अटैक्स, ये सारी चीज़ें नहीं होनी चाहिए। उसके लिए बहुत ज़रूरी है कि सोसाइटी को लेडीज़ को लेके जजमेंटल नहीं होना चाहिए। अगर वो स्पोर्ट्स खेलना चाहे उसका हक है, अगर वो अपना हमसफ़र खुद चुनना चाहे, एज लॉन्ग एज उसके पेरेंट्स उसकी डिसीजन से खुश हैं, उसकी फैमिली उसके डिसीजन से खुश है, तो आई डोंट थिंक कि सोसाइटी को उसको जज करना चाहिए किसी भी रीज़न को, किसी भी चीज़ को लेके।
Hi Amna and Khalid, thank you very much for inviting me once again to your platform, which is doing exceedingly well, so congratulations on that. And now coming to your question of which three cities do I personally find the safest in the country, I would say having traveled across the length and breadth of the country during my 24 years long career, the three cities that immediately come to my mind are Pune, Mumbai and Hyderabad. So I've traveled a lot in these cities, in the remote corners of these cities, at dark, alone, with colleagues, but never ever have I found it unsafe at any given point in time. Now, what can be done to improve the general safety of women in the country? Well, lots can be done, we know that. I would say we should first focus on the proactive measures, like starting early. In school, for instance, we need to have these gender sensitization classes or workshops where boys and girls are told, it's okay to play together, to work together, and both are equal, there is no difference, and even if there are differences, those must be respected. Then equally important is the home front. There we know in our country there are lots of patriarchal practices that go on in the household, so we have to as parents consciously make sure that we get rid of those practices. We have to treat the daughters and sons same, as equals, so they must be taught that we need to respect each other, both are equal, both must be given same opportunities in life. So these couple of things have to be there if we really want to have a mindset change. Then going forward, what else can be done to improve the existing scenario? I would say first of all, because I have also headed the internal committee at my workplace. which takes care of all sexual harassment cases that the women face. I would talk a lot more about the office space. Those have to be made safe too. There should be workshops going on in the workplaces also, where men and women are clearly told, that we need to respect certain boundaries which people very often cross. Then the administration, the management must take care that if there are women folk who work late hours, who go back late in the evening, after 7 or 8, they're dropped by office vehicles safely. There is a security guard accompanying them, and everything. So that becomes the primary responsibility of the management there. Then public transport, other than this, also needs to be improved.
Hi, Amna and Khalid. Safest city based on my experience in India is Surat for me, but I have heard a lot about Ahmedabad. Surat, I had spent some time in my mid-20s. There are other cities also where I have been on my own between my early 20s and late 20s. They include all the metro cities and some other tier 2 cities. But when I was in Surat, I could feel the safety. Since then, I have always thought of Bombay as one of the safest city, because there was lots of time I had traveled. I had to travel alone because of the job. But Surat, even after 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and not kidding, even after 12 o'clock, it was safe for me and my friends when we stepped out of watching a late night movie. So, but I have heard a lot about Ahmedabad from other people that that's one of the safest city for women. So that's one city. Then top 3 safest city based on others' experience and my own would be Ahmedabad, Bombay, and Bangalore. Bangalore also I find very safe. I have been living here for past 8 years, and so far, touch wood, there has been nothing to complain about. Then things that can be made, changes that can be made in a city for women to feel safe. First and foremost, I strongly feel that well-lit streets. We need well-lit streets. We need patrolling vans and checkposts, and women police officers. I really feel safe when I see a women police officer, especially at night. So these 3 things, I would say, a change in the city would help. Thank you.
To be in, but then Gujarat is also not, because of its culture, local culture of not encouraging alcohol consumption, not having a lot of nightclubs, etc. It's not considered one of the metro cities by those parameters. However, it's a wonderful place to live in, and I know of several families who choose to bring their children up there and offer them the freedom of going out with friends without a lot of worrying. And I think that's a wonderful thing for any city to have to its credit. So that's my experience. I currently reside in Pune, but it's been less than a year that I've been here, and I enjoy the city, but I don't have as much experience of the city. So while I have not faced any sort of dangerous situations in Pune, I just haven't lived here long enough to decide if it's as awesome as Mumbai and Bangalore have been for me. I understand that being metros, people have different thoughts about them, different experiences, and I would not invalidate any of the experiences of other women, but my experiences in general in Mumbai and Bangalore have been incredibly positive. In fact, my experiences with some of the police men in Mumbai and sometimes in Bangalore have also been positive, which is saying something, considering most women are more afraid to go to the police than to walk on the roads here. So yeah, that's my anecdotal understanding of women's safety in these metro cities. Hope that helps. Thanks.
So, which is the safest city in India for women? I think that would be Mumbai. मुंबई में मेरा जो पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस है वो काफ़ी अच्छा रहा है, चाहे वो रात में बाहर जाना हो या कोई अदर इशू हो. तो आई थिंक दैट वुड बी टॉप. देयर इज़ नो कंपटीशन when comes to Mumbai. And 3 safest सिटी वुड बी मुंबई, बेंगलुरु में भी काफ़ी अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस रहा है. एंड आई विल इवन से दैट माई एक्सपीरियंस इन जयपुर हैज़ बीन सुपर्ब टिल नाउ. चाहे मुझे रात में बाहर जाना हो, ऊबर करना हो, आई नेवर फेल्ट अनसेफ. दो आई नो कि स्टैटिस्टिक राजस्थान के काफ़ी ख़राब है, बट इन मेन सिटी जयपुर आई काफ़ी अच्छा, काफ़ी सिक्योर फील करती हूँ मैं. सो और एक चीज़ क्या बदलनी चाहिए, तो मुझे लगता है जो चीज़ बदलनी चाहिए वो है विमेन को ये ट्रेनिंग देनी चाहिए स्कूल से ही कि ये इट्स वेरी नॉर्मल टू अप्रोच अथॉरिटीज़, टू गो टू पुलिस स्टेशन एंड सीक फॉर द हेल्प अगर आपकी सिक्योरिटी और सेफ्टी की बात होती है. ये कुछ ऐसा नहीं है कि इट्स बीइंग ड्रामा क्वीन और समथिंग. आपके जेन्युइन कंसर्न हो सकते हैं ना. आपको जो भी वेज है अपने आप को सेफ एंड सिक्योर करने का, उसका पूरा इस्तेमाल करना चाहिए. एंड हमें ऐसा सिस्टम भी इस्टैब्लिश करना चाहिए जहाँ औरतें सेफ भी फील करें.
So we heard all these fabulous ladies, and one thing, common strain, a common thread amongst all of them, you would have heard these 4 names, and that is Mumbai. I mean, overwhelming, majority of them spoke about Mumbai being one of the most, secure, safe places for women. So that's a huge matter of pride for Mumbaiites. So great job, city of Mumbai. And then of course Pune, my city, so I mean that makes me proud as well. And of course Bangalore and Ahmedabad. So if you saw, more or less amongst the 14 speakers, prominent speakers, women speakers, we have heard these 4 names. Of course we also heard of lesser prominent cities like Guwahati, so kudos to the northeast. And as it's said, across centuries, the biggest quality any city can possess is about how safe the women are there. The greatest of thinkers, the greatest of reformists have spoken about that. So it's a matter of pride for all these 4 cities, and of course Guwahati as well. We also had conducted a Twitter poll, which you can see on my screen here, is that where I had asked which is the most safest city amongst these 4 cities, and the options I had provided was Pune, Mumbai, Bangalore and Chennai. And as you can see, after 3,382 votes, Mumbai and Bangalore had a tie. And number 2 was Pune, and then Chennai sadly didn't get that much. Now, of course, we're not vouching that it's a very small sample size, but it should, initiate a discussion. And you saw all these women, these cities did figure in their list as well. So now we leave up to you. Do you have any more cities apart from these 3, 4? Do you want to, speak about, pay your tributes to these cities? And we, of course, are proud about all these cities, and I hope it gets even better in these cities and across India. And a big thank you to all the lovely ladies who took out their time from their precious schedules and initiated this discussion. And so please let us know in the comments section about your thoughts about this entire episode. Thank you.